Hello and welcome to what I am fairly confident is going to be the final episode of Zero Escape Virtue's Last Reward. Because in the last episode, we filled out the entire flowchart. We came all the way down to the bottom where I thought we were going to get the Phi ending, but apparently there's an entire other section of the game left to play up here in the past. So, I don't know what's waiting for us. I don't know what's gonna happen when I jump to this timeline, but holy hell, I'm excited. Here we go. Ow. Ow. Ow, 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 ow. Damn it. Feels like my head's gonna explode. Wait. Where the hell am I? Looks like an elevator, but...
No, this is one of the AB rooms.
Hey, long time no see. Who the hell are you? And what the hell's an AB room?
Damn, I guess you did lose your memory after all.
Memory? Memory. Great. I guess we can't skip past this. Okay, fine. Fine, whatever. Ow. I remember. You're Phi. She grinned. When is this?
Bracelet.
It's a red pair. BP is 3.
Mine's the same.
Does this mean this is the beginning of the game? We've gone back to when we first woke up in the AB room?
No, not quite. I think we woke up a little earlier this time.
How do you know?
Push the buttons on the side of your bracelet.
2 hours. 15 minutes.
We didn't wake up this long before the primary doors opened last time. I think we're about an hour early.
Wait a minute. If you're right...
Yeah, Akane might still be alive. We got back before Dio killed her, I think.
Then...
Right. We're here for one reason.
To stop her from getting killed.
Exactly.
Let's move. We need to get out of here fast.
Twice. Let's go.
I'm assuming I don't have to actually solve the puzzles again. That'd be lame. What? Come on! You can't be serious. Oh, fuck off. Okay, I'm not making you guys sit through this again. I'm going to speed this up. I'm not. Actually, wait. Can I cheat? Can I hardcore cheat it? Wait, can I access the... Oh, I'm cheating. I'm not doing all this bullshit again. Absolutely not. Where's the safe? Where's the, password to be here? Yeah, no chance in hell. No chance in hell I'm doing all this again. Absolutely not. I am cheating so hardcore. Moon, sun, star. I said star. Yeah, no chance in hell, game. Absolutely no way I'm solving all this bullshit again. Like, I love puzzles, but I already solved this. I'm not freaking... Nope, not happening. Nope. You got me to solve them once. We're just gonna get out of the elevator. Go here. Okay, use it on the thing. Put the key in here. For God's sake, just do it already. No need to yell. Alright. Good. Looks like they work. Ready, Phi? What do you think? I know. Why the hell are you asking? Hurry up and... Right, I'm going. 10, 9, 8, 1, stun. Okay. I don't know if they wanted you to solve all those puzzles again, or if they wanted you to just use the safe, but I don't really care, because I wasn't doing it again either way. You push the button. If I had to, I was gonna look up the first episode of my Let's Play and just find out what the freaking safe password was. Like, no way I was gonna do all that again. Like, I'm sure I'll replay these games in a year, like a year or two, just because I like to replay games every now and again. And when that happens, I'll on my own time, to clarify, not for another YouTube series. And when it happens, I'll just solve the puzzles again, because by then I'll forget what the solutions were. Or at least I'll have a vague idea of what they were, but it won't be, like, burned into my brain, like something like Portal. I've played the Portal games so many times, I love them to death, that the puzzles are just ingrained in my memory for the most part. But, I mean, Portal 2 is a game that you also experience for the story in addition to the puzzles, and it's just fun to think with Portals in general, so... But for a game like this, I've only played through once, the puzzles are not going to be ingrained in my memory when I replay it eventually, so... Then, at that point, I'll solve them again without just cheating using the save password. But... I played this a month ago. I don't need to do this again. Anyway, finally I climbed out through the hatch and down into the top of the AB room. It took us only a moment to spot them. Akane! Behind her was Dio. He was moving quickly and quietly, a knife glinting in his right hand. There was no time to yell to her. I scrambled down from the top of the AV room. Fi wasn't following me. When I looked back, she was still standing on the roof. Fi, what the hell are you doing? Get down here and... Before I could finish, she moved. She ran across the roof, launched herself into the air. Freaking Super Mario. Stomp on Dio. Literally stomped on.
Just unconscious.
Super Mario dunked on, but I bent down and held my fingers in front of his mouth. He was still breathing.
I don't think he saw me. He probably has no idea what happened to him.
Guy went down like a sack of potatoes.
He had it coming.
I heard footsteps coming to a stop right in front of us. I looked up.
So you came. I've been waiting for you. You're here to hear the rest, right?
Wait, just wait a minute. What the hell is your deal? How can you be so calm? If we hadn't shown up just now, you'd...
Have been stabbed in the heart by this young man and died. Yes. Although, that reminds me, I haven't thanked you yet. Thank you very much. I very much appreciate you saving me.
But what?
Hold on. How do you know about... Are you an Esper too?
Yes, indeed I am. I am able to jump through time, just like you.
Then what the hell were you thinking? If you knew he was gonna stab you, why were you gonna let him do it?
Because...
You what?
Think back. Why are you here? If I hadn't been killed by Dio, no one else would have been murdered. Consequently, your own abilities would never have manifested. I did explain, didn't I? The purpose of the AB project was to send the two of you to the past. Or your minds, at least. In order for that to happen, some death was necessary. When a human brain is faced with danger, its processing speed increases. Information is processed more quickly, and time almost seems to slow. A few seconds can feel like an eternity. Unfortunately, that in itself isn't enough to send oneself through time. The amplitude of the consciousness is simply too small. In order to increase the amplitude, we need to slow down the brain before the increase happens.
Speaking of speed, could you talk any slower?
It's a little like a slingshot. You pull back on the rubber band and then let go. The potential energy you stored in the band is released and converted into kinetic energy. That's what fires the bullet out of the slingshot. Now, while a slingshot can only fire in one direction, your mind isn't similarly limited. When the bullet of your consciousness is fired from a slingshot of your brain, it travels past the three-dimensional world and into the four-dimensional one. From that perspective, time is no longer fixed. In other words, you can travel to the future, the past, whenever you like. Your consciousness has been released from the three-dimensional cage. In order for that to happen, I had to infect you with Radical 6.
What?
We're infected with Radical 6?
Yes. Don't you remember, Sigma? Luna should have told you about it in another timeline.
Are you sure? Infecting all of these people with such a horrible disease?
Every single one of you has been infected. Well, apart from Luna, of course. Unfortunately, it was necessary. We needed to slow your minds in order to store up your potential energy. Then we provided a dire situation that would accelerate your processing speed. The result is what you are now. Your consciousness now occupies full... Even that, however, wasn't enough. You had the ability to travel, but your memories could easily be lost during the trip. If the project was to succeed, you had to be able to retain everything you learned in each reality. That was the reason you were forced to jump so many times. With each jump, your ability to remember improved. Eventually, you would be able to retain everything. That was why you had to select different chromatic doors. By forcing specific choices, we could cause you to make more jumps.
I get it. I think I finally understand. Well, okay, there were a lot of things I don't understand, but all of what you just told me makes sense. You did all of this so that Fly and I could jump through four-dimensional space with our memories intact.
Yes.
Right? But why did you need us to do that? People have died for this. I mean, let's count how many different ways people died. Murder, antimatter explosions, suicide. I've died. So has Fly. So have you. Yeah, thanks for the reminder there, Captain Optimism. Captain Bring Down or whatever. So why would you do all this? Why does it matter that Fi and I jump through time?
I told you, death was unavoidable. You are all destined to die. Sacrifices had to be made for the sake of the project.
I already know all that. What I'm asking you is why? What is so goddamn important that it's worth all this?
I'm sure you'll figure it out eventually.
Stop beating around the bush!
Just when is eventually.
In a future not very far from now.
Bullshit! That's not good enough! Why can't you tell us now? Instead of answering, I knelt down next to Dio and picked his knife up off the floor.
I'm going to keep this with me.
Don't change the subject!
Almost time.
What are you talking about? We got plenty of time.
No, in a few moments, you'll return to the original timeline.
What?
This is the way it has to be. Don't fight it. Logomorph.
Yes.
This fucking bunny!
You call him Zero Jr. His official designation is Logomorph. Logomorph, this is an order. Unlock my bracelet.
Compliance.
Now, everything is in place. I have put the bracelet onto Dio. All we have to do is place his body in the 5th AB room, the second one from the right.
That's the one Quark is in, right?
Correct. I will move him. I will also put your bodies back into the 3rd AB room. Once that's done, I will reset its puzzle to an unsolved state.
Why do you need to do all that?
Create the history that you remember. Your consciousness is about to leave your body and return to the future. Your body will be emptied, and your other consciousness will jump back in. If your bodies aren't back in the 3rd AB room by then, it would be bad.
So you're saying some version of us is going to wake up in that room and repeat the same history again? Well, I guess this could actually be our 2nd or 3rd time.
You are exactly correct. Lastly, I'm going to leave this with you.
She paused and pulled something out of her pocket. It was a small key attached to a
I'll
string.
tie it onto your ankle so that you won't lose it. All right, Sigma?
What's it say on there?
Tufui ego eris.
It's Latin. It means, what you are, I was. What I am, you will be.
Yes.
What am I supposed to do with it?
You meet someone who's very important.
What?
Go. Return to the future. You won't be alone. I will be at your side, watching over you. Now hurry.
Wait! You haven't told me anything yet! Why do you need to do all this? Why do we have to go back in time? Are we trying to stop the virus? What are we stopping here? What? And why were you writing a goddamn Christmas paper on Christmas Day? Not again! No! Not again! You can't! No! Again? Another one? What? This game. I can't. There's too much. Okay, I guess we're playing the AB game again. Alright, let's go. This game.
Looks like you're awake.
Oh, hey, you're up. Is this the
Why
infirmary?
are we here?
Do you know what happened at the AB gate?
Kay and I went back to the infirmary, but
We waited and waited, and the two of you never returned.
so we went to the warehouse to check on you.
We found you passed out in front of the AB room.
Kay and I hurried back here with you.
I looked over at Fi and met our eyes. Do you remember what happened just now?
What happened a long time ago?
Yeah, you got him pretty good, huh?
Yeah, I remember all right.
Goomba stomped him.
Hey, what are you guys talking about?
Oh yeah, Quark exists. Remember Quark?
What am I?
Quark!
Chopped liver?
Oh yeah, Alice exists. Remember
Back among
Alice?
the conscious and not psychotic, huh?
Yeah, thanks.
Grandpa told me what you did. Thanks for finding the medicine for us.
No problem. All in a day's work. Although I wouldn't mind a little. Oh my God, Sigma! Give it up already!
Straws here, aren't you?
Hey, I wasn't talking to Quark. That was off of.
Not really my point.
Whatever. Forget about that. Now that you guys are awake, all we gotta do is open the number 9 door.
What are you talking about?
Look at your bracelet.
It says 10. I have 10 BP.
I've got 15 BP. That means I got 6 more points while I was out.
But how?
We've played the AB game 3 times.
3 times?
Of course, the color and group assignments were shuffled around each time, but no matter who voted, everyone chose ally.
Well, what do you know? It's a zero escape
And now
miracle.
all of us have enough to leave.
Never thought I was starting to think we'd never see the day. I was stunned. How had everyone cooperated long enough to raise all of our BP past 9? Was it because Akane hadn't been killed? Without a death to start things off, maybe we'd been less suspicious of one another. Or could the bombs have had something to do with it? We all joined forces against Dio, and Fi and I had been able to disarm all of them. All of us had banded together against a common enemy and overcome a tremendous threat. Perhaps that had strengthened our bond. Which, I had to admit, would be somewhat ironic. After all, Dio had planted the bombs that forced us all to work together against him. This must have been what Akane was talking about.
Haven't death was sacred.
Come on, let's open the door and get out of here.
Wait. What about him? No one cares. He's Dio. Literally no one cares. After some discussion, we decided to leave Dio behind. Alice was the only holdout. She complained about wanting to take him back to her superiors, but after I mentioned they'd come back to investigate after we escaped and deal with Dio, then she reluctantly complied.
Alright, let's get going.
So we're finally gonna go outside then. I mean, we already did that, but this time we're gonna do it with everybody instead of just me, Fi, and then Captain... I was gonna call him Captain Shithead, but then I'm like, nah, that's still Apollo's name. I can't replace, like, there's only one Captain Shithead. Everybody ready? I'm gonna open it.
Yes, just get on with it.
Here we go. Everyone else swallowed and nodded, but I still have so many questions. Like, this is the end of the game and I have so many goddamn questions. Some of them are dumb questions, like, why does Sigma have a cat fetish and a swimsuit fetish? And then the other questions are like, wait, but why were you writing a research paper on goddamn Christmas Day? What's the point of all this? Why were you brought here? Where's Akane hiding?
The number 9 door has been opened.
Because I guess it's still the Sigma clone in the K suit if Akane just put the bracelet on
It
Dio.
will remain open.
So did we change history, or is it just a time loop? Alright everyone, let's move. Because that's what the first game was, it was a really... They were trying to do a time loop. It was a broken time loop, but it was a time loop nonetheless. So like... Because there's 2 ways you can do time travel. You can either do it... Just stop talking. You can either do it such that everything's already predetermined, so like if you go back into the past, whatever you do to change something will have already happened to affect the future. Or you can do it where like Back to the Future, where you go back in time to change something and then you return to an alternate future in which that thing has been changed.
The number 9 door has closed.
Or you can try to do a mix of both, where you go back in time to change something and then return to the same future, which doesn't work at all. But whatever the case may be, we got everybody out. It took a long-ass time and a lot of going back and forth, but we did it. Everyone's BP's up to 9. Akane's still alive. But there's still so many questions. And I'm starting to feel like the game isn't going to answer a lot of them, and that's all going to be saved for the third game, which is going to piss me off a lot. Because, like, I mean, the third game's already on my PC. I already bought it. It's in my Steam library. It's just like... I kind of wanted them for this game. You know?
did it.
Yes, we should keep moving.
Beyond the door was a wide hallway and a very solid wall. Yeah, okay. We've already been through this. We went to this room, pressurized, put him on.
How did all this happen?
Of course, Coin or Connie are already infected. The whole room's a little pointless. Why did all this happen?
Did they?
No, that's not.
We've come this far. We can't turn back now. Let's go outside. There's no way to know what's really going on until we do.
All right.
No one else objected. We all donned the protective suits and headed downstairs to the decompression room. As soon as we were inside, the process began. From my helmet, I could hear the soft hiss of air being sucked out of the room. We stood there for several minutes waiting for the process to finish. At last it did, and we heard the door begin to open. Beyond it was another decompression chamber. We repeated the same process. Yeah, we've been through all this already. We're about to step out. Like, I'm sorry, but the dead, bleak landscape wasn't a surprise for me. I'd seen it before in another timeline. The others hadn't, however, and although I couldn't see their faces with the visors of their helmets, I heard more than a few gasps over the radio. I'm sorry, but if I took a screenshot of this and I sent it to any of my friends, even if I sent it to a random stranger, they'd be like, are you playing a space game? Like, they'd say, hey, are you playing a game on the moon? And then I'd be like, well, that's what I thought, but like that was my gut instinct, but then I'm also like, this game's not that insane. But now that we're here again, and after having experienced all the other bullshit that this game is throwing at me with robots and freaking jumping back through time and consciousness transfer and infecting everybody intentionally, infecting everybody with Radical 6, at this point I'm like, maybe we are in space. Like, maybe we are actually on the moon. Who knows? For a few long moments, we just stood there astonished.
Where the hell are we?
The desert, I guess?
I figured that out. I mean, which one?
I don't know.
Like, this looks like a spacesuit.
I think I know what day it is.
Hmm?
Look at the moon. It's red.
I think that might be Mars.
So?
I think that might be Mars.
Remember the astronomy magazine in the lounge?
Because being able to see this many stars either means that we're on the moon in space, or that there's no skyscrapers or any buildings to obscure to make it hard to see.
Well, the next eclipse like this was so.
Wait a minute. Let me get this straight. Are you suggesting we were sleeping for a week after we were abducted?
Try like 50 years.
I think so.
Yeah, try 50 years on for size. Wherever we were must have been far away from any city. The air was clearer than I'd ever seen it. And the stars. The sky was full of more stars than I'd ever seen in my life. I could even spot the hazy arm of the Milky Way, but the most striking feature was the moon. It was blood red and massive, much bigger in fact than I remembered it being. Then, as I watched, a black spot began to move across its surface. It was hard to see details, but it looked circular. The spot continued to move across the moon, headed for the right edge. Well, what's that?
Well, the moon's shadow, actually.
Are you f***ing kidding me?!
Zero told me to stay quiet. I think he was worried I'd spill the beans on his operation.
We're actually in space!
He said if I didn't toe the line, he wouldn't just kill me. He'd kill Quark, too. And I agreed, like an idiot, and brought Quark with me. Just so I could see her.
What?!
Such an idiot.
I'm gonna leave it on auto for a second. I need to just walk around for a minute. Hold on.
Might as well start with this. I meant what I said before. That up there is the moon's shadow. Think about it. If that's the moon's shadow, then what's it falling on?
That's Earth.
Wait, what?!
Yeah. It's not the red moon you get from a lunar eclipse.
Wait, what?! Hold it a minute. What?!
And again, this isn't a lunar eclipse. It's a solar eclipse.
That's Earth!
Anybody in the black spot down there is looking up at the moon, covering the sun.
What is this? What is this?
The moon, of course.
How did...
This is the lunar surface. We were just inside a moon base.
This game is insane!
Yeah, that's pretty ridiculous. Besides, if this was the moon, how do you explain the gravity? The moon only has 1/6 of the Earth's gravity, so what's this?
Picked up a rock and dropped it.
See? That looked perfectly normal.
Yes, it looked that way. You were right about the gravity in a way. I was one of the people who knew this wasn't Earth. Well, I suppose I'm not people, if we're being honest, but...
Excuse me?
Please just listen. Alice, you were infected with Radical 6. Then we gave you the Excelavir, which cured you. The Radical 6 isn't completely gone, though. Some of its symptoms stick around for a while.
What symptoms?
Well, Radical 6 can slow down your brain's processing speed by the root of 1/6. It can take a while for your brain to get back up to speed. Every one of us has been infected. In other words, all of our brains have been processing information at a much lower speed. If you evaluated the root of 1/6, you'll get a number close to 0.408. That means our brains are running at something slightly less than half speed. As you said before, the moon's gravity is about 1/6
That's
of
Earth?
The time that it takes for an object to fall is inversely proportional to the square root
What?
of gravity.
What is going on in this game?
Gravity is lower on the moon. That means the time increases. I guess that's a little technical. Let me give you an example. Say you drop an apple from a height of 4.9 meters. It will take approximately 1 second to hit the ground. On the moon, however, that time would be 1 second times root 6. I used 4.9 meters because it matches up with the acceleration of gravity nicely. The gravity constant is, well, a constant. You could drop something from 10 centimeters or 10 meters and it would be the same. Does that make sense? So, now we've established that on the moon, things fall root 6 times slower than they do on Earth. That being the case, what would happen if someone's brain slowed down by root 1/6? To them, 2.45 seconds would feel like 1 second. 4.9 seconds would feel like 2. But it's not hypothetical. That's what's been happening to every one of us.
Wait, you're saying that's the reason we didn't notice the weaker gravity?
Are you sure you didn't notice anything? Think back. Huh? You and Sigmund Phi said something about it in the lounge. About how you felt weird.
It's kind of like my body isn't really mine. I'm sort of floating.
It seemed insane, but what Luna said made sense. In fact, it explained Phi's apparently superhuman strength quite well. I'm sorry, I'm not over this. We're on the goddamn moon.
Crazy.
And that's Earth, not Mars?
That can't possibly be Earth out there. Look at it. That thing is just red.
Before we get into that, I should probably tell you something. This isn't New Year's Eve in 2028. Today is January 27th. No.
Don't tell me.
Still no.
Then just what?
It's 74.
So
2074.
we were correct. I mean, we were abducted more than 45 years ago.
If you don't believe me, but it's the truth.
How can you be sure?
It's not that hard. Quark and I left Earth on January 23rd, 2074. Solar eclipses are easy to predict. We've known that there'd be one on the 27th for a long time. That's just science. Nobody can change that.
But why is the Earth red?
That's about 45 years ago. On April 13th, 2029, there were 18 annihilation reactors operating in various parts of the world. On the 13th, all 18 of them went up. All at the same time. The explosion was about 180,000 times as powerful as the atom bomb they dropped on Hiroshima.
What?
I suppose it started a few months before that. The government had a test site for a future Mars mission out in the middle of Nevada. On December 31st, 2028, there was an accident. Well, accident doesn't quite convey the right sense of the thing. The point is, Radical 6 claimed its first victims there, then escaped. Didn't take long for it to spread to the rest of the world. Like Luna explained, the virus slows your brain down, but eventually, it also makes you kill yourself. Pretty soon, the bodies started to pile up. Some people would take a dive off a building or shoot themselves in the head. But for some, it was poison or fire or asphyxiation.
I don't need
Plenty
to-
of people jumped in
I don't need to
from
hear you
a
saying
pilot
all
of a
this.
passenger airline drove his plane into the
Fucking
ground.
hell.
Most forms of transportation ground to a halt pretty fast. That meant food couldn't get distributed. And thousands of people who weren't even infected died from starvation. Everywhere you went, there were just piles of corpses, covered in flies and rats and crows. I don't know what hell's like, but I imagine it's a lot like that. After a while, people who managed to avoid getting infected started trying to get in touch with one another. They got a hold of some radios and organized a couple meetings. There was only one thing to discuss, of course. How could they get rid of Radical 6? The answer, they decided, was purification. They figured they could just roast the surface of the Earth, and that'd kill the virus off for good. On April 13th in 2029, they put their plan into effect. That plan was to detonate all 18 annihilation reactors. Now the truth is, that's mostly just rumor. Nobody really knows what happened, but I've got my own theories. I think that the bombers had already been infected, and when they died, they took billions with them. The ultimate "if I die, you're coming with me" gesture, I suppose. I'd bet you money they'd all lost it long before they got to the reactors. Killing most of the world, no matter how bad things had gotten, was not a sane plan, even if it wasn't directly responsible. Radical 6 killed most of the people on Earth. Anyway, why it happened isn't that important. Point is, it happened. You ever heard of nuclear winter? Well, that's basically what we got. The explosion threw a ton of crap up into the stratosphere, where it joined up with smoke and ash from all the fires. It blotted out the sun for 7 years. Plants withered and animals died by the millions. A few humans who were left banded together to survive. There were rough times. Eventually they were over, though. The sky cleared and the sun came back. Plants started blooming again, and the animals that hadn't died out completely began to reappear. Things weren't quite back to normal, though. It's been 45 years now, but there's still quite a bit of dust and ash.
My mind is racing right now.
You know why a sunset's red? Well, this is the same thing. Blue and green light have short wavelengths, and they scatter when they run into debris in the air. Red light, on the other hand, has a longer wavelength, which means it'll get a lot farther when the air's dirty. So there you are. The Earth looks red because that's the only color of light that can make it through the atmosphere.
I was speechless. What could I possibly say? There was no reason for Temioji to lie to us. So we were standing on the moon, looking at the Earth. It was 2074, but why? Why were we there? Why were we then? I was so lost and thought I barely noticed Phi's approach.
Hey, Sigma, I think I figured something out.
A window pops up on the inside of my helmet with Whisper in the corner. She seemed to be using a circuit only we could hear. Yeah, what is it?
Figured out why there's an extra E.
An extra E? Oh, you mean the
Yeah.
graffiti.
I think it's an anagram. Just like on floor A.
What's Anna?
God damn
Anagram.
it, Sigma. Knock it off.
Very funny, Sigma. Comedy gold. This is definitely the time to be cracking them jokes.
If you rearrange the letters, you get... The man on the moon rules the infinite time, see? You need 6 E's to get that, so they stuck an extra one in 9th.
The man on the moon rules the infinite time,
I
huh?
think it's a message for us from Zero Senior and Akane. Remember what she was telling us?
We created the AB project for one purpose: to transport the consciousnesses of 2 people into the past.
So, what are you getting at?
My God, you're slow. You don't get it? They're saying we rule the infinite time. Infinite time. They weren't just talking about having us jump a couple hours. I think they're planning to send us back. Way back.
Wait a minute. Are you saying you think they're gonna send us back 45 years? So the ultimate purpose of the AB project is to send us back in time to that catastrophe Temioji was talking about?
So,
Well, I assumed that much. I assumed, once you said that, I assumed it was to send you back to stop the virus from ever spreading out, but that doesn't make sense. We came from that same time period before it, actually, so why bring us here and then send us back?
well, Akane should be able to tell us the rest. Let's go pay her a visit.
Do you know where she is?
I've got an idea.
Is she in the suit?
Come on. Remember what she said.
Is she in the suit?
To flee?
The grave. The one in the garden.
Well, come on. What are you waiting for? Let's go.
We turned and ran back into the pressure exchange chamber, the others following close behind.
What are you doing? Did you...
We're going to go have a talk with someone. You really need to fill it out? Person behind all this.
Akane?
What?
That is yes. Let me accompany you.
Wait, what? Why do you know about Akane?
I'll tell you when we get there. Now, if you please. I'm coming with you. You folks just said the magic word.
I'm going to then. So am I.
Hey, is this Akane you're talking about?
Yeah, you know her real well.
Wait, you're serious? What the hell is going on?
Have they even said the word Junpei once this entire game, outside of Clover ending? Come if you want to, we don't need a roll call. Once we get there, Akane can explain everything. With that, we head back to the airlock. Okay, can we skip past this to get to the... My mind is racing. There's so much. There's so much. Like, there's legitimately so much information I can't even process it all properly. Like, there's so goddamn much. So we know that she's hosting Nonary Games because she needs us to be able to jump back in time, presumably so that we can stop the virus from ever getting out.
Ah, clever. The number 9 door on floor A is shut forever once the game ends. Assuming Zero Jr. was telling the truth, of course. But the door on floor B...
Yeah. Thought we might be able to take the lift to it. And it looks like I was right.
Any idea where Akane might be?
Yeah, the grave.
You mean the grave in the garden?
Yeah, don't worry. I don't think she's buried there or anything. Chances are she's alive, just in the grave. Anyway, let's move to the garden. I was very confident in my theory that she was going to be hiding in the suit, because it's the one place where she could hide that we couldn't see her, but I guess that's me trying to predict things a little too hard, so... You know, that's fine. You know, I'm not always going to get everything right. I've certainly gotten plenty of things wrong in this LP so far.
Is Akane really under here?
I think so.
What should we do? Are we gonna dig her out?
No, I don't think so. You see the keyhole in the grave? If I just insert this here, I pull the key off my ankle and fit it into the hole. I twisted it to the right until I heard something unlock. With a quiet grinding, the grave began to shift.
What is this? It doesn't look like a coffin.
Yeah, it's a treatment pod.
Oh my god. It is, isn't it?
I mean, it says it right in front of you. The glass on the cover had frosted over, making it opaque. We couldn't see who or what was in
Let's
it.
see what's inside.
She grabbed a hold of the lever on the side of the pod.
No good. I think it's locked.
So unlock it. Just turn the...
Treatment pod. TP.
Stage 1 defrosting.
Once stage.
Okay, great. Right, cold sleep. Okay, so we just have to wait. I think so. Great.
So how about you tell us your story while we wait, Kay? Specifically, why do you know Akane?
Well.
I remembered.
What do you remember?
Everything. I was born and raised in this facility.
Yep, that's what I thought.
A rhizome is an underground plant stem that spreads by sending out roots. Kind of makes sense, doesn't it? This facility is a little like a rhizome. Supposedly, that's why they call these installations that. The number comes from the facility's number. There are 54 rhizomes on the moon, and this is the 9th one. Well, I suppose the other ones don't really matter to you, do they? In any event, I grew up here with Akane and Zero Senior. I watched them create the AB project.
So that was correct too. The Zero Senior is the one Akane's working with, and he was Kay's father or whatever. But here's the problem. So my theory that Akane is inside the case has been thrown out the window. That was a dumb theory. I admit that. Throw that out the window. It's gone. Doesn't matter anymore. So the new problem is that means that Sigma was Kay's son, and Akane was his surrogate mother figure. But why is there a Sigma clone?
The AB project?
Yes. Its purpose is to send Phi and Sigma, or their consciousnesses at least, to the past.
Back 45 years, right?
Yes.
So you want us to change history, huh? Go back and keep Radical 6 from getting out, and stop the reactors from exploding. That's our mission?
Well, not exactly.
What do you mean?
It's true that the ultimate goal of the project is to keep Radical 6 from spreading to the general population. But even if you do make it back, you won't be able to do much. By now, it's already too late.
Too late?
What do you mean?
Let me begin at the beginning. You might be thinking that Zero Senior and Akane were the ones who created all this, but that's not entirely correct. They only followed the histories they'd already seen. It was the only choice they had. Nothing less than the future of mankind is at stake. We need the two of you to jump through timelines while maintaining your memories. That is why you had to play the AB game, and why the chromatic doors were necessary. By forcing multiple options, you could make numerous jumps. We speculated that jumping more would strengthen your memories. The puzzles were also there for a purpose. Some theories hold that a moment of insight when you solve a puzzle strengthens your connection to the fourth dimension. That was the reason for the puzzles. Your infection with Radical 6 was also a vital part of our plan. By slowing down your brain's processing speed, we can store your potential. With that energy stored up, we just had to provide a life or death situation, like a bullet from a slingshot.
Wait, hold on just a minute here. You keep talking about Sigma and Phi, but what about the rest of us? Why did you bring us here?
And why did you infect everyone else with Radical 6?
That's simple. In earlier histories, you were all here in Rhizome 9. We needed you here to accurately replicate those histories.
What?
Although I suppose that's probably not a good enough explanation for you. In a sense, though, it is the truth. Our primary goal was to replicate history. The rest is... Yes, I suppose I should explain. Very well, I will try and do so in a way you can understand. First, Alice and Clover. They were abducted 45 years and 1 month ago, on December 22nd, 2028. The location is Earth, of course, more specifically, Los Angeles, California, correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
After being kidnapped, your bodies were sent to a facility under Akane's direction. You were placed in treatment pods and immediately put into cold sleep.
Called that
4
too?
months later, you arrived at this facility. The date you finally arrived was April 14th, 2029. Your trip from Earth to this facility was aboard a spaceship powered by an annihilation engine. Following your arrival, your pods were placed in long-term storage. Does that make sense?
Are you telling me we were sleeping in those pods here for 45 years?
Yes, in preparation for this day.
But why? What do you need us for?
You are an Esper, aren't you, Clover? I mean that you are able to access the fourth dimension. Am I wrong?
Did Akane tell you?
In a manner of speaking, as I've already explained, the purpose of this project is to send Sigma and Phi's consciousnesses to the past. Espers are able to sort of resonate with one another, which can amplify their power. You understand? This is why we brought you here, Clover.
What about me?
We needed your help, Alice, to deactivate Dio's bombs.
Huh?
But I didn't do anything.
But you did. In another history, you were able to perform prime decomposition on the 25-digit integer that Dio left behind. Only you could do that sort of thing. Because of your feat of mathematics, we were about to determine that Dio had planted the bombs. Then we were able to question him and get the password for the number 31. Finally, we used that information to stop the bomb in this timeline. Without your help, Alice, it would have been reduced to nothing more than so much space dust. This history exists because of your presence. Now, let me explain why we needed Tenmyoji and Quark. Tenmyoji is simple. We needed you for the same reason we needed Clover. You are able to access the fourth dimension. Almost half a century ago, you used that ability to save a young girl, didn't you?
Yeah, I did.
We needed you to resonate with Sigma and Phi. So we brought you here. All it took was a messenger.
Do you want to see Akane? If you do, come with me. I was a fool and fell for it.
And you brought Quark with you. In fact, you insisted that he come.
Yeah, I know. I guess you were worried about leaving me alone, huh? He kept saying he couldn't run off to the moon and leave me behind.
I'm sorry, Quark. If I hadn't been so stupid and selfish, none of this would have happened to you. I never thought this would happen. Can you ever forgive me?
Oh, don't worry about it. I mean, I agreed to come with you. I thought the moon would be way more interesting than boring old Earth. What kid would turn that down?
We didn't see the messenger after we got on it. It was on autopilot. As soon as we got in, and headed straight for the moon during the trip. Zero told me to keep quiet once we got there. I don't remember anything after we landed.
Then there was a bunch of that white smoke, and we passed out, and when I woke up, I was in the AB room.
Now, Dio, his real name is Left, and he's the
Yeah, this much we already know.
The Myrmidons are under the control of his brother, who orchestrated.
Yeah, that much we already know.
What Phi mentioned earlier. The ultimate purpose of the AB project is to change history and keep Radical 6 from being released. If we succeed, that would be bad for Brother and his organization. Our success would prevent them from creating the ideal world they're working toward. That is why Brother sent Left, his trusted lieutenant, to this facility. They needed to stop the AB project.
Called that too.
So, Dio was given 2 tasks. First was to eliminate Akane. The second was to join the AB game and win it. If Dio won the game, the AB project would not be completed, At least, not in that timeline. In other words, in that world, the project would have been stopped. If things didn't go as planned, Dio was given a contingency plan. If you cannot murder Akane and win the game, destroy Rhizome 9. Hence, the bombs.
Can I ask you something?
Perhaps.
How did Brother know about the AB project?
He was also an Esper. We can set Brother aside for now, though. May I proceed?
No one objected. We were all curious.
Excellent.
I'm hanging on his every word right now.
That explains everyone, save two.
And so far, we've accurately predicted almost everything.
Luna and myself. Sigma and Phi already know the truth about Luna. I don't believe I should reveal any more, however. I think it would be more appropriate if you could ask Luna yourselves at a later time. Would that be all right with you, Luna?
Yes, that's okay.
As for me, as I said before, I was born and raised here. The rest of you were brought to this facility. But I've never left. That makes me someone close to Zero Senior and Akane.
Hey, I've been wondering, who is Zero Senior?
You've already met him, Sigma, in another timeline.
Yeah, well, I saw a hologram. I still don't know who he is.
Stage 2 is complete. TP00. Unlocking.
Alright,
Looks like it's
Akane.
finished. Shall we open the pot?
I got some questions for you, and we're gonna start with Sigma's cat fetish, and then we're gonna move on to why he was writing the research paper, and then and then we'll talk about everything else.
Okay, let's get started then. Ready?
As ready as I'll ever be. Phi later handed the lever and looked around at us, as swallowed. Yeah, anytime.
All right.
I'm nervous. We're gonna be able to talk to Akane face to face right here.
Here
Okay.
we go. 3, 2, 1.
So Akane, I got some questions for you. Again, research paper, cat fetish. Who are Sigma and Phi in the context of the greatest team? Why do they know each other? Why did you send a Sigma clone into the what? She is in the suit! I knew it! I knew it! She is in the suit! I've seen the lights before. The warehouse, the floor being in front of the white door. I was here, lying in front of me. I knew it! I goddamn knew it! She is in the suit! Come on, Kay, open that mask! If the person in the pod was the same person seen in the floor of the warehouse, who was wearing Kay's armor?
You finally noticed, didn't I tell you? You won't be alone. I will be at your side, watching over you.
No. Oh my
Yes,
god, you're
I am.
Iron Man. I was
Akane
right!
Kurashiki.
It's you, June. I mean, Akane from... But you're old.
Yes, that's correct.
I'm sure she'd really love to hear that comment.
I haven't spoken to you in a very long time, Clover. Or you, Junpei.
Junpei?
Akane, long time no see.
I could barely hear what they were saying. My mind was still reeling. It felt like all the air had been knocked out of me and it was all I could just not collapse right there and then.
When?
Do you remember when the two of you saved me in the warehouse?
Yeah, that was about an hour ago.
Once you saved me, you went back to your future. I carried your bodies to the 3rd AB room, and then took Dio's to the 5th. After that, I went into the 1st room and borrowed Kay's armor.
So by the time you and Clover came out, you'd already...
Yes.
Wait, that doesn't make any sense. Dio killed you, and then Luna took your body to the 6th room. You couldn't have been in Kay's armor.
In this timeline, at least. In this one, I wasn't murdered by Dio. You two saved me. It's just like Schrodinger's cat. Your actions in the future decided who would be inside the armor in the past.
What? No, that's nuts.
Alright, what about the other history? The one where you weren't saved.
The clone Sigma takes the
What
suit.
happened? Who's wearing the armor?
That's quite simple. The man in front of you.
Him?
That's correct. Whenever I'm not in the armor, he is.
What about the memory loss?
For my part, I confess that I lied. He, on the other hand, was telling the truth. Large doses of soporil can cause memory loss.
So, who is he?
You've never seen him before?
No.
What about the rest of you?
I have no idea who he is.
I've never seen him before.
Me either. Total stranger.
You don't recognize him as Sigma? Hey, come on, what are you guys saying? Right here? Same face?
Huh?
Are you all right, Mr. Sigma? Did you hit your head or something?
Huh? What? Didn't make any sense. Why didn't they recognize me?
Sigma, your consciousness can jump through time. You can inhabit your body in the past or in the future.
What does that mean?
Don't you get it? You've jumped to the future from 45 years ago.
That's why they never showed his face! What? Game, you need to... Huh? The game... How did I not realize that? Well, that's why they never showed his face. But what?
It's your face, Dr. Sigma Climb. Although, to the you that's behind it now, it's your face 45 years from now.
My brain!
Zero, the mastermind of the AB project, is you.
What? It's Sigma? All this time? What? No, that's not... That's bullshit!
No, it's the truth. Fighting it isn't going to do you any good. Please, Doctor.
I'm not a doctor!
You will be a pioneer in the field of genetic engineering.
You're lying!
No, I'm not. You created him. Well, I suppose I should say you are going to create him.
Create?
His name is Kyle Klein, your clone. That is why he looks just like a younger version of yourself. 23 years ago, in the biolab here in Rhizome 9, you created Kyle. Well, I suppose for you, that's still in the future. When I said I was born and raised here, I was still pretending to be him. The gravity here is only 1/6 of Earth. If nothing was done, the reduced gravity would cause his bones to be weaker than normal human ones. But you prepared for that. You gave him that armor.
Like, I should have known, because if Sigma... If he was in the suit, then he should have been the father, but I didn't even... What? This game...
Ever since he was born, he's lived inside of it. It kept his muscles and bones strong. He wasn't forced into it for the Nonary Game. He's been wearing it every day.
But why would future me create a clone?
He was, if something happened to you before the project began, he would take your place. I mentioned before that the AB projects A and B stood for after and before. That isn't all they mean, though. The A also means anima, and the B means body. Anima, the past consciousness, will go into the future body, and the future consciousness will go into the past body. That was the chief goal of the project.
Wait, so the future person goes into the past person?
Sigma, do you remember the note you found in the garden?
You mean this, right?
Yes. Ah.
Yeah.
Sigma, take a good look at this. It's an illustration of the time jumps your consciousness is making. A is where everything began. December 25th, 2028. You inhaled the white smoke. From there, you jumped to B, January 25th, 2074. You woke up in one of the AB rooms in Rhizome 9. You are in your own body, but it is your consciousness has jumped 45 years into the future. I believe that may explain why you didn't notice the reduced lunar gravity. The body you woke up in was much older. Normally, you would have noticed that your muscles were much weaker. In this case, however, the lower gravity balanced that out. Moving on, if you continue along this line, what happens next? You reach C, which is January 27th. That is today.
Whoa. Wait, what do you mean? Are you saying it's been 2 days since we woke up?
36 hours to be exact. Have you already forgotten? You are all infected. The virus.
Yeah, I know, it's slowed her brain down.
To you. Now comes the important part. After this, your consciousness, it will re-emerge at point D. April 13th, you will return to your younger body.
But that's the same day as the reactor explosion.
Yes. That is why I said it will be too late. You will return to the past, but the events you would want to prevent will have already happened. The story does not end there, however. The line continues. After reaching point D, you will eventually return to B, but this time, you won't be jumping through time, or at least not at a rate faster than normal. Your consciousness will spend 45 years inhabiting the same body until you reach point B. Do you remember when B is, Sigma?
January 25th, 2074. According to what you just told us, it's 36 hours ago.
Correct. That was when the consciousness of the 22-year-old Sigma jumped into the body of 67-year-old Sigma. So where did the older version of you go when you took his body?
Point A. 7/25/2028, the day all this started.
His consciousness will go back in time 45 years. For a period of time, he will inhabit your younger body. While your younger consciousness is elsewhere, he will be you in the past.
But once that body reaches point D, my 22-year-old consciousness will come back from point C.
That's correct. When that happens, the older version of you will be ejected from your younger body and return to your body at C.
So it's rotating?
Rotating. I suppose you could put it that way, but look at this illustration closely. What if you take all these lines and untangle them? You get one single line. It may look complicated, but in truth, it's a single straight path with one exception.
This line here at point E, right?
Exactly. Point E is December 31st, 2028, the day of the total eclipse.
The day Radicals just got out of the test facility.
Yes, by now you've likely figured it out on your own. The purpose of the AB project was to get the consciousness of the 67-year-old Sigma from point B to point A. If we can do that, we can change what happened 45 years ago.
So the old version of me will keep Radicals from getting out by jumping into my 22-year-old body on New Year's Eve 2028?
Yes, that is why this line could not be interrupted. In order for the 67-year-old version of you to reach point B, we first have to go through point D. In order to get to point D, we must jump from point C. And for point C to happen, we had to recreate everything that happened in this facility. That is why we have faithfully retraced history up to this point, so that we might save humankind from destruction and undo the horrors of the last 45 years.
My brain. Tell me one
What
thing.
is that?
You said that point C is January 27, 2074, which is today. There's going to be a jump, and I'll jump to April 13, 2029.
Yes.
But look, I'm still old. When is this jump supposed to happen?
Very soon.
Soon?
Yes.
And what's going to trigger
We
it?
need potential energy stored to send your Fortunately, we now have plenty of that. Thanks, ironically, to Radical 6. All that remains is to launch your consciousness like a bullet from a slingshot.
And how do you propose to do that?
Didn't I tell you? A crisis. A moment balanced between life and death. That can jumpstart your brain.
What do you mean?
You haven't figured it out. I mean this.
Oh. Theo's knife? No sooner were the words out of my mouth. Fi! I screamed and leapt toward them. Akane was already in motion, the knife diving toward Fi's chest. I was almost there. When I regained consciousness, I was on the floor. There was a dull pain in my chest. I felt for a cut, but something was in the way. It took me a moment to realize that it was Akane's body lying on top of me. I was twisting my neck to look around. Nearby was an old tombstone. On it was written a few words. What you are, I was. What I am, you will be. This fucking game! I can't, what? I can't even, I don't even know where to begin. Where do I even begin dissecting that? That was phenomenal. Also, we never saw that. That scene never happened. But that was freaking fantastic. Absolutely phenomenal. Everything from start to finish. The characters, the story, the puzzles. This was better than the first game in every discernible way. Okay. So first off, the characters, they all tied into each other brilliantly. The way that Clover, the way that Alice and Clover tied together, which tied together with Junpei and Quark, which tied together with Sigma and Phi, which tied together with Kay, which tied together with Akane. Just all the characters tied together so brilliantly. They all had their own role to play in the story, and they all came together in the end. And the story, oh my god, the story. The build-up between, like, it wasn't dropped out of nowhere. There was build-up the whole time. They slowly introduced more and more details of the story until it all came together in one magnificent picture at the end. Oh my god. With all the different elements, the Dio and the bombs, the Myrmidons, the Radical 6 virus, the secret agent, the robots, the cloning facility, the moon, freaking, all of this just, there's not enough time in the universe for me to properly dissect why that was so incredible. But it all came together so good. It was so good. Oh my god. And the cherry on top was the freaking puzzles. The puzzles were so much better than they were in the original game. It wasn't just like, flush the toilet, da 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 da. It was, they had logical build-ups to the solutions, logical ways to figure things out. The only exceptions to that were the pantry, the darts puzzle, and the freaking cube puzzle. Those were all bullshit. But aside from that, oh my god. Wait, there's more? How is there more? There's more? That's not the ending? What? How? But those were credits. How can there possibly be more? How can there possibly be more to this game?
Today is April 13th, 2029, and this is the evening news. Unfortunately, I'm sorry. I don't have any news to read. All of our station's reporters have
have passed after contracting Radical 6. So have my... Excuse me. I've managed to keep us on the air until now. But I'm out of tricks. It's time for me to sign off. This concludes our broadcast day. I pray that someday our world can be cleansed of this horrible plague. Goodbye.
What? Well, if that's a thing to do on... What the... Imagine you watching TV and that f***ing happens. From when I just stared at the TV, the roar of the static seemed to fill the entire room until with a click it disappeared too. Had the power gone out? I heard footsteps behind me and turned around. Haha! That's not... Nope, that's not... If I turn around and I see that, like if I turn around right now and I saw that behind me, which by the way, there was like a split second where I thought I might have actually, because there's a clock behind me above my bed, and my PC has a red line streaming down the front of it, and reflected off the clock, and it's shining back at me, and for like a half second I thought that the clock was... I know it sounds ridiculous, but this game has ruined my sense of perception. Like I'm so on edge right now. I thought that because the Zero's goggles are red, I thought that was this game. Oh my god, okay. So, you. Is it gonna be Akane? Oh my god, Akane.
It looks like the first step was successful.
What the? You killed me!
Killed?
Are you saying like you're going to kill me 45 years now, but still?
Hey. No need to be rude about it. I didn't kill you. I hit you with the butt of the knife. You're fine. Yes, you and Phi needed to experience a state of crisis. That was the only way.
Me and Phi?
Yes, I only told you about you. We also needed Phi to jump. Now, you know what happens next, right?
We go to the moon?
Correct. We will be leaving tomorrow, April 14th, 2029. We've nearly finished preparing your shuttle. Only a few last-minute checks and additions. You'll be traveling to Rhizome 9, along with 3 treatment pods.
Alice and Clover,
Yes.
right? What about the third one? Who's in there?
We put her into cold sleep 2 days ago.
I don't know why you had to ask that. That was obvious.
She appeared at our headquarters and volunteered to be frozen. That wasn't the Phi who jumped from point C, though. It was Phi before she jumped from point A to point D. In other words, she was following the same path you are, and she still is.
Then that means that after you froze her, the point C version of her jump back into her body.
Yes, the point C version of Phi is sleeping in that pod. She'll stay there for the next 45 years, sleeping in ice.
Then when she gets to point B, her consciousness will jump into point A, right? Huh. So that's why she didn't look old. So why don't you just stick me in one of those pods?
You can't do that.
Like, why not?
You haven't figured it out? You have to spend the next 45 years working on the AB project. After arriving at Rhizome 9, you must master genetic engineering and artificial intelligence programming, among other disciplines.
No pressure.
Otherwise, you will be unable to create Kyle, Luna, and Lagomorph. And, of course, you will need to develop the chromatic doors and the bracelets. You will also be the person who summons Tenmyoji and Quark.
Again, though, no pressure.
Once you've completed all the preparations, then the project can actually begin. January 25th, 2074. You will defrost Phi. Once you've done that, the 22-year-old version of you from point A will force you out. And you'll just go back 45 years to your own body on December 25th, 2028.
But why was he writing the research paper? And why does he have a cat fetish? It's feeling I can keep the virus from getting out?
Have to. If you don't, billions of people will die. Only you and Phi can save them.
What about you? Aren't you an Esper too?
I can't do anything on my own if this is going to work.
Also, I didn't point it out right now because there's so much else happening, but they definitely changed their voice actor from the first game. So what do I need to do?
What do you mean?
Like, what specific actions do I need to take? When Phi and I jump to point A, what are we going to do then?
Both enter the Mars mission test site.
And after that?
I don't know.
What?
Sorry, I really don't know anything about what happens in there. We don't know how the Radical 6 escaped. We don't even know why it was there in the first place.
Oh, crap. Then we're screwed.
That's why we need your help. You have the ability to jump through time and across parallel worlds. We need you to figure out what happened in that test facility. Things will be difficult, and I'm sure you will find yourself in a great deal of danger. But I believe the two of you can overcome any obstacle.
Wait. How do you know it's so
A
dangerous?
67-year-old version of you told me what happened. He wasn't able to stop the virus. So I suppose you could say you told me after you failed.
What did I say?
That the test facility is full of traps. There was one point. A woman's life was in danger. You risked yourself for her sake and lost your arms and your right eye.
My arms and my right eye? What the hell? You only just noticed that? Suddenly a low rumble shook the building. What was that?
Go have a look.
I moved slowly to the window and peered outside. On the horizon I could see a massive mushroom cloud climbing slowly toward the sky. Would we really be able to change the course of history? No, that was the wrong way to look at it. It couldn't be a question. I had to change history. We could save the world. I'm going to change history. I stared at the darkening skies above us and steel myself. I would succeed. Is that it? End or beginning? So that's it then? That's the end of the game. Holy shit. What? You can't be serious! How is there more? How is there more to this goddamn game?
Where?
I see you've finally woken up, Kyle.
Kyle?
Ah, yes, of course. You've only just woken up in this timeline. It's only natural for some of your memories to be missing.
I lurched upright, jumped off the bed, and ran around to the other side of the partition. The mirror over the sink was covered with a film of dirt. I wiped it off with my sleeve and my reflection stared back at me. There was no mistake. The reflection belonged to...
Kyle Klein. So, I'm Dr. Klein? Zero Senior's clone?
What? How do you know that? Shouldn't you still be suffering from amnesia?
An excellent question, one I didn't quite know the answer to myself. I knew who Kyle Klim was. In another history, he had been called K and had worn a suit of armor. He hadn't just worn the armor in that history, though. Apparently, he worn it all his life. Kyle had been born and raised in this lunar installation, which seemed to be called Rhizome 9. Rather late in his life, Akane had appeared as a mother figure, and he had consequently grown very attached to her. I knew everything about him, but even though I knew it, I didn't feel it. Was I really Kyle Klim? Every time I looked in the mirror, I saw his face. The spitting image of Sigmund Klim in his younger days. I looked down. There was Dio, still handcuffed. I turned back around to Luna.
What day is today?
January 27th, 2074.
Today is the last day of the AB project. Akane has explained everything in the garden. And she drew a knife and attacked Phi. How long have I been asleep?
About 5 hours in real time. For them, it would have seemed like a little more than 2 hours.
So they still haven't been treated for their Radical 6?
No, they've all been given the antiviral. It just takes a while.
I see. So the consciousness of the younger Sigma has gone back into the past. It should have happened right after Akane attacked Phi, right?
So, that sounds like Troy Baker's voice. Remember back at the start of the game, when I checked IMDb because I was trying to figure out where the voices were, and it said Troy Baker was listed as a voice for Sigma, but Sigma hasn't said a single goddamn word the entire game? I think that's Troy Baker's voice of Kyle Klim. So whoever worked that IMDb page, thank you very much for labeling him as Sigma, because it's not technically a lie, and it definitely saved me from being spoiled.
Why am I here?
The doctor carried you back here. You were in the pod in the garden.
So the person you call the doctor is Sigma Klein, as inhabited by his age-appropriate consciousness.
Yes, but how do you know that?
Dio seems to have remained unconscious.
Yes, I've been administering Soparil whenever he gets restless.
What about the others?
They've all gone off to different areas. Tenmyoji and Quark, for instance.
Oh, right! Mr. Klein!
So the sleepyhead's finally up, huh?
What are you two doing here?
You don't know where we are?
This is the upper floor of the pressure exchange chamber. The real one.
Mm-hmm.
We were just about to get dressed and head out.
You plan to return them to Earth, I mean.
Yeah.
Sigma told us where we could find the shuttle that brought us here. Well, guess he's not really the Sigma I knew anymore.
Why?
What do you mean, why?
Well, I'm just curious why you would choose to return to a devastated planet when you could stay here.
How's staying here gonna help? You're gonna say something idiotic about how we should wait here until Sigma changes the past, are you? You can't wait for something that's already happened. Grammar doesn't work that way. Hell, nature doesn't work that way. You following me? We've already lived through history. Sigma failed to keep the virus from getting out. About 45 years ago, Radical 6 created a pandemic, and the antimatter reactors blew up. That all happened. Whatever Sigma does in the past, history's not gonna change. In fact, it's because of what he did or didn't do in the past that we've got this past and present. Let me give you an example. Imagine a group of 100 motorcycles driving down an endless freeway. Eventually, they hit a junction. The road splits and one freeway continues off northwest, and the other stretches out to the northeast. So one guy, we'll call him S, pipes up, "Let's go north." So they take the northwestern road. But about a mile past the intersection, something horrible happens. A semi driving the other way veers into their lane and plows through the bikers. 90 of them die. The surviving 10 are wounded, but survive. They don't stop, though. They keep riding down that highway, and eventually, they'd gone 10,000 miles. Then suddenly, something happens that they couldn't have predicted. S, he ends up back in his own body just before they reach the junction. He remembers everything. So what does S do? What anybody would do. Let's go northeast. That means all 100 of the bikers survive to reach their destination, happy and healthy. And they all live happily ever after. That's what you're thinking, right? It's a great outcome for the 100 bikers that went northeast. But what about the 10 that went northwest and survived the accident?
Huh? Wouldn't it be 9 people? I mean, S's mind went back in time, right?
Right. Okay. 9 people then. What happens to the reality they were living? Does it just disappear when S changes the past? It's not as if it was only bad things that happened during that 10,000-mile trip. Maybe one of them fell in love with a woman working at a gas station they stopped at and had a child. Maybe one of them picked up a homeless kid who joined them on their adventure. That 10,000-mile journey would be full of stories, friendships, farewells, romances. The loss of those 90 lives is horrible and unfortunate. But what would rewriting their history mean?
That's the problem that I was thinking about, is that, yes, so I understand the plot of the game now, which is, you know, give them the ability to go back in time. I still don't know who Phi is and all this. Like, I don't know, despite it being called Phi's ending, she's the only person who we don't know anything about, like, outside of the context of the Nonary game. But, so, putting that aside, so the goal is to send them back in time to change history, but the problem is that it's clearly not a time loop, because if it was a time loop, then the future would be fine, but it's clearly not fine. So, I mean, that means they're actually going to change history in an attempt to change the future, which, so they could try to do the Back to the Future thing, where they ripple effect and create the new future, but the problem is that, that destroys this timeline. Like, Back to the Future nailed that, but it's really hard to nail that, especially with the rules this universe is set up. So this group of people would just be erased, which I don't know how they're going to account for that. I really don't. And I'm really nervous about how they're going to account for that. Like, how is changing the past going to affect the future without literally rewriting the history and making it something else?
The 9 who survived lived full lives. How can it be right to just erase all that? The survivors overcame their own misery and loss and made the best they could of the hand they'd been dealt. Isn't that worth something?
Like, I do not want to reference Endgame as a paragon of time travel, because good God, that movie just spits in the face of time travel and doesn't know what the hell it's doing. It's like spaghetti flailing around on all over the place as to what it's doing, and I don't really want to break down why it doesn't make any sense. But the reason why, so, you know what, no, I'm not even going to touch it. I'm not even going to touch it. Endgame doesn't make any sense with this time travel. I'm not even going to bother touching it, because I'll be here all goddamn day. But the end result is that, of course, by the way, if you haven't watched Endgame, I have no qualms about spoiling it, because it's been out for almost 2 years. So, point being, they snap everybody back to life, and it just, Like, that's not indicative of time travel. The time travel they had to use to get the stones is one thing, but the actual act of bringing everybody back doesn't change. They didn't change anything, they just instantly snap everyone back to life. That clearly isn't, that they can't just do that here. They can't just snap everyone back to life. So they have to change what happened in the past to get the future back to the way it's supposed to be. But if they change the future the way it's supposed to be, then we have a problem where everyone here gets erased, and then the problem is the paradox just... No, this game has avoided a paradox so far. We haven't encountered any time paradoxes, unlike the first game. Please do not screw it up in the third game.
Isn't that the best thing that humans can aspire to? Is there really any point to a world where everything is happy? Are people who struggle for a better life just idiots? Being human is about fighting, even when it seems hopeless, and finding happiness, even in a world that hates it. Are you saying that's worthless? If you're saying rewriting the past will erase all these other timelines, then whatever God wrote those rules can Look, I'm just not going to accept that, alright? You get it?
If Sigma changes the past, then you and Quark will never meet.
Is he right?
No, it's not going to happen. We're here right now. This is reality. Even if Sigma does change the past, we're not just going to disappear or something.
Oh, then that means we get to stay together? Good.
Thanks, kid.
I understand how you feel. Why you want to return to Earth is clear. You have lives there, I imagine. There are likely people waiting for you.
Right.
Uh-huh.
Have you already said goodbye to the others?
Bye, Luna, Alice, and Clover all saw us off. We told them we'd see them again someday, and then came here.
They were the only people you want to say goodbye to?
Well, no point saying anything to Dio.
Besides, he's asleep. You were asleep too.
Sorry, but we didn't really know much about you.
You have a point. Akane was in the armor in this timeline, after all. What about Sigma?
Well...
Of course, he is Dr. Klein now that his consciousness has returned.
Yeah, but more importantly, he's the guy who brought us all here. Not a lot of warm feelings there, you know?
And Akane?
Never mind her. She's just like him. Not the Akane I knew. She must have seen some pretty awful things over the years. Hell, she might not... But the Akane Kurashiki I know isn't here. She's not anywhere.
In the end, Clover and I were just pawns. Pawns to be used and then gotten rid of. Still, it's not like we were completely resentful. We had to be here to help change the past. That part's easy to understand, but...
Kinda sucks, though. I mean, Sigma and Phi have it easy.
I would not call what they're gonna do easy.
They get to go back to December 25th in 2028. They'll stop the Radical Six and save the world, and then they'll have a nice, normal future to look forward to. In other words, they get to go back to Point E and just enjoy history like it was supposed to happen.
But we don't. We're stuck with Point C as our starting point.
You told us about Tenmyoji's story, right? The one with the motorcycles? It would be like if Alice and I were kidnapped right before the intersection. Then whoever grabbed us takes us to wherever the bikers are going, 10,000 miles to the northwest.
Don't get us wrong. We know why we had to be here. Without us, S's consciousness wouldn't have been able to go back to right before the intersection.
If that couldn't happen, then the fate of those 90 dead bikers would be sealed. But
it's still not the best situation for those of us left in the Northwest. We're stuck in the reality where the 90 bikers died.
Are we just supposed to go live on Earth? It's a wasteland now. And what about our friends and families? We left a whole world behind 45 years ago.
Even if it is for the greater good?
It just doesn't seem fair, does it?
Yeah, it's a little bit much.
So we went and talked to the old lady.
She told us that there is one way.
One way we could get back to the past.
Let's say you do go back to the past. Wouldn't that cause your minds to get thrown back here? That seemed to be how Sigma and Phi's jumps worked, at least.
Yes, you're right.
But this is different.
Different? How so?
From what she said, it sounds like there's a way we can send our bodies back in time, too.
That's ridiculous. It would create a paradox. How could you have two Clovers and two Alices at the same time?
But that wouldn't happen.
Akane says there's a way around that.
How on earth does she plan to do that?
Schrodinger
cat.
Find out in the third game. Whee!
Oh, hey, Kyle. Figured you'd come here eventually.
Where's Dr. Klein? Luna said you were with him.
He said he was tired, so he's off resting right now. There's a bedroom at the end of the hallway. He's in there if you're curious. Oh, right. He told me to turn on this hologram projector thing when you showed up. Want me to start it?
Sure.
Glad to see you. There isn't anything in particular that I have to tell you. However, I imagine there are a great number of things weighing on your mind. I'd love to answer all your questions, but unfortunately, My circumstances make that an impossibility. I hope you can forgive me. Everything I know, Phi should also know. I have instructed her to answer any questions anyone might have. Anyone other than Kyle, that is.
Lovely.
What does he mean, other than Kyle?
Who knows? Is there anything you want to ask?
Oh, right, well, I guess I may as well cut to the chase. Just who are you, Phi?
I'm not Superman, that's for sure. And I'm not Batman or Spider-Man or Aquaman or a Merman or a Wolfman. I'm not a Brahmin or Kamen or Ramen. I'm not a Cayman either, so you really don't need to worry about anything.
Please don't dodge the question. About 5 hours ago, Akane attacked you with a knife. That triggered something which sent your mind back to the past, correct? Specifically, you were sent to Point D, April 13th, 2029. On that date, your body was already in Akane's custody. Although by then you were in cold sleep, you wouldn't have regained consciousness, but your mind was now inhabiting that body. That pod was your home for 45 years. You slept there, frozen, until the time was right. Then on January 25th, 2074, you were finally thawed out, even though you didn't wake up. Still unconscious, you were carried to the AB room. That was when your consciousness changed bodies again. A version of you from December 25th, 2028 arrived, pushing you out and sending you back to December 25th, 2028. This is when you finally woke up. In 2028, you found and joined forces with Sigma, whose older mind was inhabiting his younger body. Together, you attempted to infiltrate the Mars mission test facility. Unfortunately, your plan failed. The Radical Six did escape on New Year's Eve. That failure determined the path you followed. Instead of going along the line that branches out to the right from Point E, you headed. That was the day that you made your way to Akane's hideout and asked to be put into one of the treatment pods. Another consciousness enters your body around that time from the future. It is, of course, the version of you that left your body when Akane attacked you in the garden. This caused the two versions of you to swap places, and you moved 45 years into the future, where you woke up on the garden floor. That put you on the line that comes here. So if we discount the time you spent in cold sleep, for you, only 3.5 months have passed since that happened. That being when you were sent back into the past from the garden. Have I missed anything?
No, everything you talked about you got right.
Well, what do you mean by that?
It's taken me the last 3.5 months to understand it.
I haven't understood anything in the last 3.5 seconds. Could you please explain?
It's kind of like the relationship between classical mechanics and modern physics. Strictly speaking, you can't combine velocities with v1 plus v2. v1 plus v2 divided by 1 plus v1 times v2 over c squared is the actual equation. Of course, the sort of velocities we encounter in day-to-day life don't come close to being c squared, which is the speed of light squared. That means that 1 plus v1 times v2 divided by c squared is usually going to evaluate to something pretty close to 1. Since that would mean dividing by 1, it's usually okay to just skip that step and use v1 plus v2. You see what I'm saying? In most situations, so you knew enough to get the stuff you were talking about right. As long as you stick to that, you won't run into any problems.
I don't quite understand. In fact, I feel like you're dodging my questions.
So is that what you wanted to ask about?
No. What I really want to know is what happened between Christmas and New Year's Eve in 2028. You and Sigma infiltrated the Mars mission test site, didn't you?
Yes.
What happened there? How did Sigma lose his eye and both his arms? And why was Radical 6 in there in the first place?
Find out in the third game.
What could a deadly virus have to do with the simulated mission to space?
Find out in the third game.
Sorry, but I can't tell you that.
Why?
Because it would change history. There is a history where the virus didn't escape. That's the line that goes to the right of Point E. In that timeline, humanity isn't heading for annihilation, and Earth isn't red. The future. But if I tell you what you're asking me right now, then that reality will disappear. You understand?
I don't. Why would all of that disappear if you told me what I want to know?
You're about to go back to the past, right?
The past? Don't be silly. I can't do that.
And where the hell did you learn all this stuff? I just listened to you tell me a bunch of things you shouldn't have known about. You were sleeping in the pod in the garden. You just woke up. So how can you know all this? You know my past. Sigma's past.
Oh, we're just gonna leave that there. Okay. sure thing.
I shall give you your answer.
Which answer? To which question? I have like 1,000.
You are not Kyle Climb. Your body is... Think about it. Do you really believe you're Kyle? Or could you be someone else entirely?
Then, where is the real Kyle's consciousness?
He was thrown out when you entered. Right now, in a manner of speaking, he has arrived at December 25th, 2028. His consciousness has gone into a body from that time. I doubt you know how much the doctor loves Kyle. He raised him on his own. Kyle is irreplaceable. Do you really think he would go back to the past and leave Kyle behind here? I know what I told the others, that Kyle was Dr. Climb's spare, but that was not his only purpose. Kyle's consciousness is integral to what we are trying to accomplish. This new mission begins on Christmas and ends on New Year's Eve 2028. Its purpose will be to infiltrate the test facility and prevent the spread of the virus. For this to happen, Kyle is absolutely necessary.
And that is why he created him?
Yes.
So now that my consciousness has entered his body, the doctor has achieved his objective. Kyle has gone back to 2028 to participate in his mission.
Correct.
There's one thing that troubles me. Kyle was created before reaching point B from point D. That means his body did not exist on Christmas in 2028. Does that mean he has entered my body? Have we just switched places?
I suppose you could put it that way, yes.
That's ridiculous. What's going to happen to me? You telling me I have to spend the rest of my life here in this box, living in a borrowed body?
No, not at all. You can travel freely through time and space. You are an uncontrolled variable that entered our closed system. As such, the rules of this world do not apply to you.
I have no idea what...
Please don't try to play dumb. I know what you are. Surely you must know by now, too. You are about to go into the past and save the world. Phi and Sigma, even with all of his future knowledge, will need your help. Only you can right. Only you can save the world.
There's no way I...
Yes, there is. You have to. Don't you want to know the truth? Don't you want to know what happened in between Christmas and New Year's Eve in 2028?
Well, yes, I do, but...
Then you must believe. Reality is shaped by what we believe reality should be. If observation can change the motion of a particle, then how is it odd to think that human thought can shape reality? Your will can change history. The world will be reshaped into the one you imagine. Remember what I've told you. Only you can change history. Only you can save the world.
Is that it? Is that the curtain call? What a phenomenal video game. What an outstanding video game. Holy hell. 30 hours, 13 minutes, and 23 seconds later, we did it. We saved, well, we didn't save the world yet, but we completed the flowchart, we achieved every single ending, and we got the answers we were looking for. Maybe not all of them. I still don't know why the hell Sigma was at a university writing a research paper on Christmas Day, and I don't think I'm ever going to get that answer. I don't know why he was obsessed with cats. I don't know who Phi is. I don't know who it was at the end. There's a lot of questions left unanswered, but as far as this game's story, it was brilliant. It built off of what the first game set up perfectly, and it tied it into something that not only made logical sense, because of the whole, the first game was a time paradox, this game actually made sense. It expanded the scope, it expanded the scale of everything, of the world building, tied everything together, all the different characters, their own stories, how they all came together, the way it slowly built things up, with each ending revealing something new, so it didn't feel like you were too overwhelmed. Wow. And it set the stage perfectly for the finale. What a perfect... Because here's the thing. Apparently the third game wasn't going to get made originally. Apparently this game did not perform well commercially in Japan, so the third game got canceled and then brought back to life by the fans, which is basically what happened with The Walking Dead, the final season. Because I don't know if you know, but that game, after Telltale shut down in the middle of that season, so there was a period of time there when we didn't think we were going to get episodes 3 and 4. But then the fans were like, that can't happen. We want to see how Clementine story ends. So Skybound stepped in and said, yeah, we're going to go ahead and finish this for you guys. So they did, and it was awesome. But I guess that's kind of what happened here. I could not imagine if I played through this game and I found out they weren't going to make the third one. I'd be like, how about we don't do that? That'd be awful. If you get to this point, like, because this clearly, it told a self-contained story, and we got all the answers about the Nonary Game and all that, and that all makes sense. But the lead-in, clearly it's meant to be a bridge between games 1 and 3 to lead into the finale. So, I'm excited. I really can't wait to see how this all ties together. That said, I'm also nervous, because I've not heard great things about the third game. I've heard it's kind of crap, which has me really worried, because the last thing I want to see is for the first 2 games to be great. Well, okay, first game's good. This game was out of this world, literally and figuratively, and then for the third game to just let it all down, to have the ending be complete crap. That would suck. That would be really, really awful. To have all this build up, all these characters, all this story, all this tension, and the world building, and just have it all come crumbling down in the finale. I would hate to see that. I really, really hope that the ending is good. But I guess we'll have to wait and see. This game was phenomenal. Thanks for joining me on this adventure. We'll be starting up Zero Time Dilemma tomorrow, so that'll be it for now. Thanks for watching. Stay tuned for tomorrow, and hope to catch you all tomorrow for the start of the final chapter of the Zero Escape trilogy, Zero Time Dilemma. Goodbye.